A Stanley Cup cliffhanger this Monday night. The Oilers' quest for victory ends in just hours.
Obviously, today's another animal.
The excitement and the anxiety of fans, plus what history tells us about Edmonton's odds of winning. The potentially dangerous mission to put the brakes on auto theft.
He's out, he's away, go, go, go.
What happened when Global News tagged along on a stakeout? Tragedy in the water. The actor and world-renowned surfer killed by a shark in Hawaii. Plus, more royals with health scares, what sent Princess Anne to the hospital, and what it means for her trip to Canada.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The winner takes it all tonight. The Edmonton Oilers are on the brink of reaching the pinnacle of the NHL in a series that, when it started, they seemed poised to lose. But then they won 3 in a row against the Florida Panthers. And now Oilers fans see a Stanley Cup in their future. Many have made the nearly 5,000-kilometer journey to be where it's all happening in Sunrise, Florida, hoping to be part of the moment a Canadian team wins the Cup for the first time in 31 years. Jeff Semple is with the hometown crowd. Slav Kornik is in Florida, where everything gets decided. And Eric Sorensen is looking at what history tells us about Edmonton's chances. Let's start with Jeff in the City of Believers, Edmonton. Jeff.
Well, Donna, the game is happening about 4,500 kilometers away, but you'd never know it. The crowd here, absolutely electric, ready to write the final chapter in a once-in-a-lifetime sports story.
Warren Salampa's house is hard to miss. The 60-year-old artist has been decorating his fence, a shrine to his favorite team.
Yeah, it's a bit of a destination location.
Among those stopping by, this roadworthy Oilers Zamboni.
Go Oilers!
And come tomorrow, Salampa is hoping to add one more piece to his display.
Well, I think we'd put a Stanley Cup up.
The Oilers are on the brink of completing a Cinderella story rarely seen in sports.
When you watch this game tonight, you are potentially watching history.
Only once in 1942 has a team come back from a 3-game deficit to win the Cup.
It's the first time it's been done in color. Think about that for 1 second. This has only been done in black and white. We don't get Cinderella stories. We don't get major comebacks like this.
The story has captured the imagination of fans across the country. Online videos show spontaneous Oilers chants erupting in crowds from Laval to Vancouver to London, England.
Let's go Oilers! Let's go Oilers!
The Oilers roster includes 24 Canadian-born players, more than any other team, and the most to advance to the final in decades, including captain Connor McDavid. He grew up and attended school north of Toronto.
I think that you have to be an Oilers fan right now because McDavid is definitely someone to cheer for, and this is a really, really exciting thing for us.
The Oilers' longtime radio announcer says the cross-country support gives him goosebumps.
I think I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but I think the Oilers might be Canada's team now.
It would be for a short time, but, you know, even a little bit is better than nothing. At the end of the day, fun. This should be fun. It's got to be fun for the whole country, hopefully, except Calgary.
And this crowd here is definitely having fun, watching the game on the big screens, while many others flock to Florida, including our own Slav Kornik. Hi, Slav.
Hi, Jeff. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of Oiler fans here in Sunrise, Florida, and in Fort Lauderdale over the past couple days. They've been on quite a journey in this Stanley Cup. Just over a week ago, the Oilers were down 3-0. Now they've won 3 in a row, and they're just 1 win away from becoming the second team in NHL history to rally from that deficit in the Cup final. This is the first game, though, that the Oilers have a chance to actually win the Stanley Cup. However, the team says they're treating this game like they have all the others.
I'm trying to approach this as a game in February where I guess maybe you don't have the headlights on this spot as much, but just kind of do your normal routine.
I think we've had experience in these moments, and obviously today's another animal, but you like to think that your experience will help you in those moments.
Zach Hyman talking about the Oilers' big game experience. That includes 5 games when they have faced elimination in these playoffs. They've won all 5 of those. They're going to try to do it one last time tonight and win the franchise's 6th Stanley Cup.
All right, Slav Kornik in Sunrise, Florida tonight. Thanks. If the Oilers do pull off a victory, where would it rank among the greatest sporting comebacks of all time? Eric Sorensen will put this moment into historical context a little bit later. But first, an exclusive inside look at auto theft in this country. Global News was given rare access to those trying to stop the surge in vehicle thefts in Ontario. Our chief investigative correspondent, Carolyn Jarvis, traveled with York Regional Police as they tracked a car they said was stolen and made a dramatic arrest. And a warning, some of the images may be disturbing.
48 to the crew. I'm on the track here.
It's 4:40 in the morning, and Detective Scott Cresswell and the York Regional Police Auto Theft Unit are setting up for a takedown.
I'm just going to flip around and have a look at our skate.
Their target, a crime group that Detective Cresswell says has been stealing cars overnight.
This crew travels all over the GTA, targeting all like the major municipalities.
Cresswell says the vehicle his team is on the lookout for is a stolen Lexus. It's what they call a crime car, a stolen car that's used to commit more crimes and steal other vehicles.
This Lexus we've been tracking for about 10 days.
That surveillance has led them here, to a retirement home in East Toronto, where the suspected thieves have allegedly been parking the car when they're done stealing.
It's out of the way. Police won't patrol that area regularly.
The car is there when we arrive, but the suspected thieves aren't done.
This crew especially, they don't stop at like 5 a.m. They'd steal right until 7:30.
Cresswell and his team await their return.
2 on foot, Bragger, headed towards our skate.
An hour later,
Brando, these are our guys.
They're back.
Trevor, you gotta get lower, buddy. They might heat check this area. Just keep your head down. For the crew, it's a surveillance play at this point.
10 Roger. The plan is to let them go move out. Hydro up and they're pushing.
Watch yourselves. There they go.
We hang back with Detective Cresswell while other members of the team follow the Lexus. And listen to this.
All parties out.
The team radios in that the suspected thieves are stealing another vehicle, a Toyota Tacoma.
Tacoma, doors open, working on the GPS here.
On the GPS.
This is common. They're going to see if they can disable the GPS.
About an hour and a half later.
Okay, got them both coming in.
That Tacoma.
Here they come, guys.
This is going to be it, guys.
Drives into the parking lot, and right behind it,
Here comes the Lexus.
the Lexus.
There's Lexus.
48, he's stopped here.
The passenger gets out and jumps into another vehicle, a Hyundai Santa Fe.
What do you think, Scotty? This might be their getaway vehicle.
While the driver of the Lexus
Get down.
turns back to the parking lot.
Just right in front of him. Yeah.
Gonna be a goal here if we're ready.
He's out, he's away, go, go, go.
What happens next unfolds almost too quickly to grasp.
He's on the facade of the brown building, number 6.
2 police canine units supporting the team start the pursuit.
There's a guy, K9 right there.
One chases down the suspect from the Lexus. The other goes after the second suspect in the Santa Fe. But instead of stopping, the alleged thief drives right at the police officer. The second suspect escapes. The Santa Fe found abandoned a couple of blocks away. The canine officer has a broken rib and is taken to hospital for examination. 18-year-old Ahmed Abdulwasi is arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including 2 counts of stealing a vehicle. The Lexus and the Tacoma await forensics in the parking lot, where the early morning began.
You need a multi-tiered approach to fight auto crime and trafficking overseas, because it also sends a message, right? Like, you can't just go out and steal. You are going to get arrested. You are going to go to jail, and it's important.
2 weeks after we accompanied York Regional Police, the second suspect, Muhammad Jogiat, also 18 years old, turned himself in. He is now facing multiple charges. Donna?
All right, Carolyn Jarvis in Toronto. Thanks for that. The federal government is considering putting a surtax on imports of Chinese electric vehicles to protect Canada's auto sector. Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland announced a 30-day consultation period in July to help the government craft its response to Beijing. Chinese EVs are flooding the market in what Freeland says is unfair competition. The government is also considering changing which vehicles are eligible for federal incentives for zero-emission vehicles. The European Union and the U.S. have already increased tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles.
Chinese producers are quite intentionally generating a global oversupply that undermines EV producers around the world, including here in Canada.
China's EV auto industry is the largest, capable of producing half the world's 80 million EVs, sparking concerns of threatening North America's production. A 14-year-old boy is facing 2 counts of first-degree murder and 7 counts of attempted murder in relation to a shooting earlier this month.
I mean, just thinking about a 14-year-old being involved in this type of crime is unbelievable in my mind.
On June 2nd, 5 men were shot at around 11 p.m. while they were playing soccer at a school field. 2 suspects fled in a stolen pickup truck. Police caught one after the truck crashed nearby. They're still looking for the other suspect and say there's no known connection between the men who were shot and the suspects. There are multiple reports tonight. U.S. prosecutors are recommending the U.S. Justice Department lay criminal charges against Boeing. CBS and Reuters news agencies say the recommendations come after the Department of Justice said Boeing violated a settlement related to 2 deadly crashes. 2 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft crashed within 6 months of each other, killing 346 people. Under a deal reached in 2021, prosecutors agreed not to prosecute Boeing after 3 years if the company abided by certain stipulations. The DOJ must now decide by July 7th whether to proceed with criminal charges. In the Russian Republic of Dagestan, people are in mourning after a deadly coordinated attack there. At least 20 people were killed when gunmen opened fire yesterday, targeting churches, synagogues, and police posts. Dagestan is a predominantly Muslim republic in southern Russia, which neighbors Chechnya. Redmond Shannon reports.
Coordinated attacks in the southern Russian Republic of Dagestan. Churches and a synagogue targeted in a part of the world home to an ancient Jewish community. The attackers exchanging fire with police. By the time it was over, 15 officers and an Orthodox priest were among the dead. The 5 gunmen, suspected to be Islamic militants, were killed too. Dagestan's governor claimed, without providing evidence, that the attackers had help from outside Russia. However, among them were 2 sons of another Dagestan politician. He was arrested. Their involvement a sign of an increase in Islamic radicalization in the region, according to this analyst.
What we've seen a flow of weaponry, unregulated, unchecked, into southern Russia.
Harold Chambers says Russian authorities appear to be overstretched by other priorities.
The fact that the security services have been distracted, solely focusing on countering Ukraine, especially in the North Caucasus. This is important as its proximity to the war zone.
The Dagestan attack comes 3 months after the Crocus City Hall killings in Moscow that left almost 150 people dead. Despite a branch of Islamic State claiming responsibility, Russian authorities blamed Ukraine. The Kremlin has not explicitly tied the events in Dagestan to its war against Kyiv. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
It appears the long and bitter battle between WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange and the U.S. is coming to an end. According to court documents, he plans to plead guilty to illegally disseminating national security material in exchange for his release from a British prison. Assange would not spend any time in U.S. custody because under the deal, he'll receive credit for the roughly 5 years he spent in jail fighting extradition to the States. A remarkable medical first coming up, a kidney transplant on a patient who is wide awake. A well-known professional surfer and longtime lifeguard has died in Hawaii after a shark attack. Police say Tamayo Perry was attacked yesterday while he was surfing off Oahu's North Shore. He was brought to shore by jet ski where he was pronounced dead. There had been warnings of sharks in the area.
Tamayo is a legendary waterman and highly respected, grew up right over here, and just a great member of our ocean safety team.
The 49-year-old was also an actor who'd appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean and Hawaii Five-0. Since 1995, 9 people have died from shark attacks in Hawaii. A medical team in the U.S. has done something rare, performing a kidney transplant on a conscious patient.
That's good timing.
John Nicholas had surgery last week in Chicago while he was awake and alert. Instead of using general anesthesia, doctors used a spinal epidural, commonly used during a C-section.
I had been given a lot of sedation for my own comfort, but I was still able to be, somewhat aware of what they were doing, especially when they called out my name and told me about certain milestones they had reached. Like, oh, hey, we actually connected it. Hey, we're sewing things up, and yeah, it was a pretty cool experience to kind of know that was happening in real time.
He was also able to listen to his own surgery soundtrack. He chose The Killers, and he got to see his new kidney donated by an old friend before it went in. And because he didn't have a general anesthetic, he was able to go home the next day. Another health scare for the British royal family. Princess Anne is in the hospital with a head injury. Buckingham Palace says the 73-year-old suffered a minor injury and concussion after an incident at her country home. Details are scarce, but it's thought to have involved a horse. Princess Anne is a keen rider. The palace says she's expected to make a swift and full recovery, but upcoming engagements, including a trip to Canada later this week, have been postponed. Crucial test ahead, why there's so much at stake for the Liberals in an Ontario by-election. A vote is taking place in the heart of Toronto today that's being closely watched. Voters in Toronto St. Paul's are choosing a new member of parliament after the previous one stepped down. It has been a Liberal stronghold since 1993, and if the Liberals lose it now, it will be seen as a blow to the Prime Minister himself, who polls show is deeply unpopular. Our chief political correspondent David Aiken explains what's at play in this vote. David.
Well, Donna, what I've got behind me is the electoral map of the Greater Toronto Area at the end of election night in 2021. And there's more than 50 seats here, and you can see lots of Liberal red. This is Fortress Toronto. If the Liberals don't defend this, they lose the government. And that's why this race is kind of important. The Conservatives have to chip away at Fortress Toronto, and they've got a very good opportunity tonight, right in the heart of the city, right here in the riding of Toronto St. Paul's. This is the results from 2021. Carolyn Bennett, she'd held the riding since 1997. She got nearly twice as many votes as the Conservatives. Now, Bennett has since retired, and Liberal fortunes are in free fall. Justin Trudeau says he's confident he can hold this riding. Conservatives say, we've got no chance of winning here. I'm not so sure. The race is definitely on. And if Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives do win here tonight, it's a historic win because the Conservatives have not won here in Toronto St. Paul's since Brian Mulroney was the leader. Now, it's going to take a long time to count the ballots today because there's 84 names on the ballot. They're all there in protest of Justin Trudeau's failed promises on electoral reform. The ballot is 3 feet long and a foot wide. It's going to take a long time to count those ballots in Toronto St. Paul's. Donna.
Okay, we'll be watching. David Aiken in Ottawa. Thanks. What are the odds? It's been an epic comeback for the Oilers. Next, we look at their place in history. There's nothing like an underdog story to capture the imagination and fire up fans, and the game tonight is an epic underdog story. After losing the first 3 games of the Stanley Cup Final, it looked like the Edmonton Oilers' shot at winning had vanished, and then they roared back to life. Eric Sorensen looks at how rare comebacks like this are and where a win would put Edmonton in the history books.
Sure, there are believers now. But when it was 3-0 for Florida, the players looked flummoxed.
We're trying to figure that out.
And fans saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, it was a little deflating a little bit. I know we got
maybe one game left.
It's because comebacks from 3 games down just don't happen in the finals of pro sports. Ask Oilers stalwart Kevin Lowe. It's hard.
And it's hard to beat a team 4 straight. I think it's just that the team is that much better, typically. And so they go on to win the series.
Yes, the 42 Maple Leafs did it against Detroit, Pete Langell scoring the winner. But that was more than 80 Stanley Cup finals ago. And in 2024, who really thought Edmonton could come all the way back?
I'm pretty surprised. I'm a big numbers guy, obviously.
Neil Payne relies on analytics such as ELO ratings, which assess a team's strength over time.
There just aren't a lot of teams that are down 3-0 that have either the innate talent to kind of bounce back from that or the mental fortitude especially.
Here's how improbable it is. In the NBA, no playoff team has ever come back from 3 games down. The most shocking turnaround was LeBron James and Cleveland in 2016. Down 3-1, ELO ratings gave the Cavaliers only a 3.6% chance of beating Golden State, but they did. In baseball, again, no World Series team has ever come back from 3-0. The biggest upset, Kansas City, 1985, down 3-1. Their chance of winning was 9% when they beat St. Louis. In the NHL, those 42 Leafs, probability was 7.4%, the only 3-0 comeback in Stanley Cup Finals history. And now Edmonton, after 3 losses, were given only a 3.3% chance of winning. Florida looked that dominant. Yet the Oilers are on the verge of maybe the greatest finals comeback of them all.
Edmonton is doing everything that it wants to do and is playing like kind of the best version of itself.
I think it's so amazing for the sport. It's a good story either way.
The analytics still give Florida the edge in Game 7, but try telling that to Oilers fans who've cast aside their doubts and are on the verge of one of sport's greatest comebacks. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
That is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Edmonton's diehard fans are giving it all they've got. They are on the edge of their seats tonight, counting on the team to bring it home in this do-or-die game. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.